Imagine this. A pulsing river of metal. Just a constant flow, a vibrant tapestry of noise, movement, a symphony of honks, really, where the rules of the road feel, well, less like fixed laws and maybe more like intuitive suggestions. If you can picture that, you're basically standing on a street corner in Hanoi, and that's the electrifying world we're diving into today. Vietnam's motorbike culture. It's intense, unique, and surprisingly structured underneath all that seeming chaos.
Right. And our mission here for this deep dive is really to guide you through that complexity. We're not just giving you a list of travel tips. We want to get past that, that initial shock to understand the fundamental rhythm of it all. We've pulled insights from a traveler's guide, someone who spent, a decade, really immersed in Hanoi streets. And they saw the motorbike not just a transport, but as the actual heartbeat, the economic pulse and social engine of daily life there.
Yeah, that initial sensory hit it's unforgettable. Overwhelming, maybe, at first glance. Think about the sheer volume. I mean, not just the noise, which is significant, but the sheer number of bikes. And then you've got the bright colors from the stalls, the amazing smells of thought cooking, grilled meats, and this continuous, almost hypnotic tide of motorbikes flowing everywhere.
It really is stunning. The source material talks about aerial views, showing traffic that moves less like cars and lanes and more like a fluid, like a living thing, constantly weaving, adapting. And when you zoom in, it doesn't stop. The intensity is right there. You see these incredible close-ups, whole families, sometimes 3 generations, balanced perfectly on one scooter, just going about their day, right in the middle of all that motion.
Okay, so we've got the shock, the awe. It's definitely impressive. But that can't be the whole story, right? Because the city functions. People get where they need to go. Commerce is happening right there on the street.
Yeah.
So that implies there must be, like you said, an underlying rhythm. Mm-hmm. And figuring that out is the real aha moment for any visitor. Which brings us to this idea of the flow mentality.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating is, a Western perspective might immediately just label it anarchy, chaos, but it's really not. It's actually a highly evolved system. It's built almost entirely on intuition, anticipation, and a kind of collective trust. So instead of just relying rigidly on traffic lights or signs, drivers are incredibly adept at predicting. They're figuring out where every other person on the road is going to be in the next few seconds.
Okay, let me jump in here because it sounds nice. Rely on intuition, collective trust. But if the whole system hinges on everyone anticipating everyone else, doesn't that put newcomers, especially maybe foreign riders, at a huge disadvantage? I mean, doesn't the source mention that? A much steeper learning curve, maybe even danger for people who haven't grown up reading that collective body language.
That's a really crucial point. And yes, absolutely. The learning curve is steep. You are at a disadvantage until you sort of learn the unspoken language. But the genius of the system, if you can call it that, lies in maximizing throughput, keeping things moving, because drivers anticipate they rarely make hard stops.
Right.
They maintain this continuous, usually low-speed flow, which actually minimizes the kind of gridlock you see elsewhere and probably reduces the severity of collisions when they do happen. In that environment, communication isn't really about the traffic signals. It's about tiny adjustments, constant nonverbal signals.
So eye contact essentially becomes a tool, almost like a signal itself.
Exactly right. A simple, confident glance can communicate your intention maybe to merge or turn far more effectively than flicking on a turn signal in that dense flow. It's like a moment-to-moment social contract, executed at, relatively low speed.
Okay, that system sounds complex enough if you're on a bike.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what often feels like the most terrifying part for a tourist.
Yeah.
Just trying to cross the street on foot. The traveler's notes you mentioned, they highlight this surprising trick. They call it the pedestrian swim technique.
Ah, yes. The swim. That technique is basically your key to feeling like part of the flow instead of just being terrified by it. And the instructions, they sound simple, but they're mentally quite challenging for someone new. You have to step confidently into the road.
Okay.
And then maintain a steady, totally predictable pace.
Right. So no sudden sprints across gaps, no darting back to the curb, and definitely no freezing halfway.
Precisely. You basically become a slow-moving, predictable object. The second you hesitate or you speed up or you stop, you introduce unpredictability, and that is the most dangerous thing you can do in that system. By just keeping that steady walk, the drivers, who are masters of anticipating movement, they will just naturally weave around you. It stops being this scary confrontation and becomes more like a dance of sorts. It's surprisingly freeing once you actually trust it.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Moving beyond just the rules of traffic, the physics of it, and looking at the cultural function of the bike itself. It's not just A to B transport. It's like the ultimate multi-tool.
Yeah.
And that's super clear in this idea of the mobile market.
Oh, absolutely. We really need to appreciate the resourcefulness here. The sheer ability of Vietnamese people to load up a small scooter is, well, it's astounding. And we're not just talking about a few bags of groceries. The source describes things like a literal sheet of plate glass strapped carefully across the back, or someone moving their entire collection of potted plants across the city on a scooter.
What was the most outrageous example you saw mentioned?
Well, beyond the usual things like cages of live chickens, there's this one account. Someone saw a motorbike carrying a fully assembled double bed frame. Right. And the mattress, just navigating through rush hour traffic. And this resourcefulness, it isn't just, a charming quirk. It speaks volumes about the economic flexibility the motorbike provides. Right. And you have to ask, why the scooter over, say, better mass transit? Well, it's affordable, it's incredibly flexible, it needs minimal infrastructure, just a road, basically. And it acts as this immediate extension of your home or your business, right there with you.
So the bike really becomes central to all the daily rhythms. It kind of sets the tempo for the whole community. Tell us a bit about the daily commuting rituals described.
Yeah, it really dictates the schedule. The morning rush hour is described as this visceral tidal wave, a truly organized, somehow high-density flow of thousands and thousands of commuters. School drop-offs are another thing. Apparently, it's like this expertly choreographed family affair. Parents maneuvering toddlers, backpacks, maybe another sibling, all through these tight lanes with just astonishing skill.
And the bike's role changes in the evening, too, right? It's not just about commuting then.
Absolutely. The evenings, the streets really come alive in a different way, and the motorbikes transform again. They become like instant, flexible seating. You see friends, families gathering, often still literally perched on their trusty bikes, sharing street food, chatting, socializing. The bikes make spontaneous community connections so easy. They allow tiny businesses to be incredibly mobile. Any bit of sidewalk can become a temporary cafe or a tiny shop front. It's this highly mobile culture that weaves together this really intricate, vibrant tapestry of daily life.
This national knack for adaptability, for efficiency, thriving in what looks like pure chaos to an outsider, that must be rooted in something deeper than just, smart traffic management.
Yeah.
What sort of cultural forces are feeding into this highly functional, yet pretty unconventional social order?
That's a great question. That resourcefulness, that adaptability, it does seem deeply connected to the nation's historical social fabric. The sources we looked at mention the enduring strength of Confucian values in Vietnamese society. And that actually provides some really critical context for understanding the road system, believe it or not.
Okay, interesting. How does ancient Confucianism connect to modern-day traffic flow?
Well, think about some of the core ideas. Deep respect for hierarchy, respect for elders, and this strong emphasis on collective harmony. These values tend to foster a disciplined, very community-focused mindset. So the implicit trust that's absolutely required for that flow mentality to work, the trust that the person ahead will hold their line and the person behind will anticipate your move. That's arguably a reflection of that bigger social contract. It's this ingrained understanding that your individual actions directly impact the collective safety and flow. So yeah, that foundational cultural framework seems to underpin the unconventional social order you see playing out on the streets.
Wow, that's a powerful connection. Linking, millennia-old philosophy to the everyday reality of rush hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this whole maybe slightly exhilarating description has convinced you, the listener, to maybe join the flow yourself, let's switch gears to the practical side. Essential survival tips for travelers, starting with actually renting and riding a bike yourself.
Right. And safety has to be the absolute priority here. If you do choose to rent, please use a reliable agency. Check the bike thoroughly brakes, lights, absolutely non-negotiable. And as the guide warns, while road rules do exist on paper, they often feel more like guidelines in practice. You just have to be prepared to adapt, to go with the flow. Don't waste energy trying to fight a system that simply operates differently.
And what about protective gear? What's the absolute must-have?
Helmet. Always wear a helmet. It's legally required, and it's just basic, necessary protection. And if you are riding, you have to practice extreme defensive driving, really. Anticipate sudden, erratic movements from others. Accept that many drivers will ignore formal traffic signals. Your safety depends entirely on predicting their actions, not on assuming they'll follow the rulebook perfectly.
Okay, and for those of us who might prefer to navigate as a passenger or just need help getting around, the streets can still be pretty confusing. Yeah. What are the best local support systems to tap into?
Definitely embrace the local tech. Apps like Grab or Gojek are, well, indispensable. Whether you need a scooter taxi a Somme or a car, or even just food delivery, they really cut down on the stress of figuring out unfamiliar streets and haggling over fares.
Good tip. And what if your app fails or you just need quick directions on the spot?
Don't hesitate to ask locals. People are generally overwhelmingly willing to help out. And, taking even a little time to learn a few basic polite phrases in Vietnamese, that can go a long way. It really enhances those interactions and just makes the whole journey smoother, more pleasant.
We've definitely uncovered a lot of layers here today. This unique culture, the intuitive communication on the roads, that incredible mobile efficiency, and this deep resilience rooted in a kind of social contract.
Indeed. We've really seen how an environment that seems completely chaotic, maybe even dismissed as madness by some visitors, actually fosters these unique forms of community, remarkable resourcefulness, and a kind of collective efficiency. Oh, and just before you rush off to book flights, a quick practical note from the source. Remember the Vietnam travel visa. Definitely check beforehand if your nationality gets a visa-free exemption. If not, you'll need to sort it out via an embassy or an online agent well in advance. Don't leave it till the last minute.
Excellent final practical point. Okay, let's land this deep dive then. We learned the pedestrian SREM technique, we marveled at those mobile markets, and we connected that street-level resilience back to deeper cultural values.
Right. And the essential takeaway, perhaps, is thinking about different systems. This highly adaptive, almost trust-based coordination achieves a level of economic and social efficiency in its own way that more rigid, signal-heavy Western traffic systems often struggle to match. It kind of raises an interesting question for you, listening. What's the real cost of order? What efficiencies, maybe even what community connections do we sacrifice when we prioritize rigid rules over that kind of intuitive, flowing trust?
Exactly. What unexpected forms of organized chaos might exist in your own life or your own community? And what new, maybe counterintuitive systems could you try to embrace next time you find yourself on unfamiliar streets? Could you achieve a smoother, maybe freer flow? Go explore, go feel the pulse for yourself. So what does this all mean for you?